Hi everyone, welcome to a development video on my CGUI script pack that I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 weeks. In this video I'm going to show off some of the current features of the system. The system isn't done yet, and it isn't posted to the asset store yet because there are still, quite honestly, there's still a few more things that I want to add to it before I get that done. So some of the things you'll see here, some of the things in the system that you'll see here might not be there at the end. But right now I have enough working material to make a little video for it. So in this video I'm going to make kind of a menu system. I'm going to make an RTS kind of overall style, and I'm going to try and do it as quickly as possible. So let's get started. I'm going to add an element. I'm going to move it up here to the top right. This will be my menu icon. Let me click on CGUI basis. I'm going to add another element. I'm going to resize these later and change their style. This will be kind of my button area for making buildings, although none of that code is actually created yet. In the future I'll have copy and paste options, but right now I don't. That's one of the things to be implemented. Add another element. This will be my unit area, and I'm not going to implement this either. This is just kind of for layout purposes. I'm going to reduce this size a little bit bigger. There we go. And rescale it to about there. Okay, let's modify the button now. Oh, let's add a few more elements. Okay, this is going to be the element for specific resources. I'll have 4 here. Okay, yeah, copying and pasting is definitely a must-have in the future, just for things like this that I could just easily copy and paste. But okay, I'm going to give 4 different resource values based off of an old Age of Empires setup that I prefer, or that I was a fan of. Oh, that's not quite right. Is that right? Yeah, that's good. Okay. There we go. And now I'm going to add another element. This will be my little button. I'll have 5 of these, I hope. I hope 5 of them will fit in here. And I'm just going to put them in kind of simple locations. The elements default as boxes. I could have in the future the option to add specific elements, like add a button here, but at the moment it's just going to default to a box. Things that need to be done in the future. Okay, going to details, I'm going to change this to button over here. The movement is a bit finicky for an early setup, but I'll have that changed in the future, most likely. Button and button. Okay. Now I'm going to change this one to a button as well. This will be my menu, and I'm going to change the font size to 16. I'm going to go to text, change it to menu. I'm going to activate my HTML editor, and I'm going to go down here, change this to a nice red color. And the menu will have a little bit of a red. I'm going to click change. There we go. Alright, as you can see it changes over here. I'm just going to quickly add gold 1000. I'm basing this off of the old, like I said, Age of Empires kind of resource systems. Age of Empires 2, I think. Okay, and whoops. Clay 1000. Okay. I could put building options in here, icons or whatnot, but for right now I'm just going to leave that empty, and this would be where the mini map is, but I don't have the exact code for that done because it's not going to be included in the pack, quite honestly. What you would do generally for this kind of thing is you would put a texture of the map right here, and then I would say in a separate script you would set the definitions for the size of it from here to here, and then draw minimap textures where you want. But since it's not going to be included in the pack because it's not GUI related directly, I'm not going to go over that in too much detail. Okay, so I'm going to set up the menu option. As you can see, if you hit play, everything works normally. I'm going to resize this a bit. Alright, whoops. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. Okay, there we go. And that's pretty much the menu. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to change this one's name to menu, the top one. I'm going to have it selected and I'm going to apply it up here. Okay, so now we have menu. I have to delete the elements because they're not really needed for this current one. I'll have the option to have just import an empty basis object, but I didn't have a prefab on hand. So there we go. I could have just rearranged those, but this works too. I'm not quite sure where the middle is, so I'm just going to put this as I want it here. I'll have a ruler probably up top that'll show all that later. But right now, again, this is just a development build, or a development preview. I'm going to put a label up top. And I'm going to put 2 buttons just for right now, for simplicity's sake. Let's make sure these are, okay, it's a bit bigger. There we go. That's about right. Okay, now for this one I will do menu. I'm going to change the type to label, and I'm going to have it use a style. I'm going to change the alignment to middle center, and I'm going to resize it to 24. I think 24 will work. Yeah, that'll work. I'm going to give it a color as well. HTML editor right here. Give it the color red. I don't know why, but I'm going for red a lot. Change color. Okay. Now Unity only has specific color codes implemented for HTML, so I'm going to change this little color grid to probably images of the actual options in a drop-down kind of style. But right now, it's another thing to implement. Oh, let's see. We're gonna do this one as options. I'm going to change the size to 16, and this one will be quit, I suppose. Change it to a button and change the size to 16. Alright, so I have a menu here. Now I'm going to go back to the original, the CGUI basis menu. Go over to here, go to functions. And to make this actually functional, I do have a script under my camera. I have it called call functions, and you're gonna have to write these scripts yourselves. The system itself it will call functions. It'll do the setup for the GUI for you, but you're going to actually have to implement the logic behind the GUI yourself, since I can't make a GUI system that will run every function ever. So that's one thing that I'm not able to implement in this system. But the active object will be menu, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to function on active, or I think active will work. Okay, I'm going to go with on active. If it doesn't work, then I can always change it later. Add the camera object and then set active, because that's the function name, and value doesn't really matter for that one. And I'm going to press play. Okay, there was a weird beep. As you can see, the menu will disappear and reappear. So there we go. There's a simple menu. I can resize this because obviously it doesn't quite fit. And if I really needed to, I could make this one run a set active and deactivate this one if you so choose. But going back over here, oh yes, this is a weird current error. It won't unless you refresh the screen layout, it will not, I don't know, I guess determine that it's in editor mode. Not quite sure what that error is. But, okay, so on active works. Going back to my menu. There we go. Going to resize this back up to about here. And then I'm going to add the beeps. That beep that you heard originally was played simply because the camera or the audio source decided to play it. I'm going to set that to nothing as default because it's just easier that way. But this is another thing I've implemented just using that code, and this is kind of showing a simple thing that you can implement. On hover, add, and going over here, go to camera, go to function name, and do on hover. Yeah. And the value doesn't really matter, as you can hear. It will beep when you hover over it. I'm going to add that to, and then I'm going to do an on active function called on. Actually, I think I just have to call this one active. Oh no, wait, this one has to be an active function. The differences between those is purely in the Unity built-in source code. So I don't define what those are, but these are the GUI states that you could have. And let's play it. Okay, so that plays the active sound that I have. All of these sounds will be included. If that's the reason you're buying the pack, then that's not a good reason, honestly. I'm not a very good sound engineer, I guess. Okay, going back over here, setting this to active. And you could define the component name if you want. I just don't, because these are the only functions that are in the camera. Or this is the only component in the camera that has these function names, so it's just sending the message there. And so yeah, I don't really see the need to write the component name. And this one was on hover. Alright. And that's everything. As you can hear, it just will beep when you hover over it. If you want to change the style of the button, you can go here, just change all of these options and use the style. As you can see, it'll go to default neutral whenever you have that option set up, and change the alignment how you want the content. But yeah, that's the current system as I have it working. Let's test this actually in the editor. It's kind of annoying. Let's set this to default as inactive. Okay, that beeps just horrible. I'm not quite sure why it auto sets the clip to true. Maybe I should turn off play on awake. Oh well. Set the menu to true. And as you can see, this is all working, and beep. If I go back to the menu, oh, whoops! I must have done something wrong with my function calling. Let's go back. There we go. And go back to. Let's apply the menu. Go back to this one. Go to function. Go to. Oh, I did on active. That was my issue. I forgot it needs to be active. So going back here, adding camera. Why this is displayed in this weird format, I'm not. Maybe it's because I have it set to inactive. No, I'm not quite sure. I might have changed the GUI style and not reset it somewhere in the code. Okay, but it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, going back to this. Okay, that all works fine. And that is the current pack as I've gotten done so far. I'm looking to do animation updates in the future, as you can see down here. Let me refresh the screen again for some reason. Clicking here, and this is an animation bar that I've created. It's not anywhere near done yet, but it's in the process. So this is currently the CGUI system as I've finished so far. Thanks for watching.